Everyone, this is Hina Nawaz, and the topic of our presentation is Microbiota and Gut-Brain Axis in Health. So let's start with the outline of the presentation. So in this topic, we will going to cover about a brief introduction about your brain, the most complex organ of the body. Then what is gut microbiome and the crosstalk between the gut-brain axis. And then we will see the entire nervous system that is considered as second brain of your body and the disorders related to gut dysbiosis. And then lastly, we will going to see about the effects of lifestyle on gut microbiota on the composition, basically the effect of your lifestyle on the composition of gut microbiota. So in this amazing animation, as you can see, a neuronal filing that is being going on in between the neurons. So as we all know that billions of neurons that are present inside the human brain that are being connected in a very coordinated manner. So the perceiving the stimulus through the dendrites, and then the action potential is going on along the length of the axon, and then the through the chemical synapses, one neuron is connected to another. And like this manner, the whole stimulus or the whole whatever the message is being sent to the brain is undergoes or performed. So let's start with the basic idea that as we all know that different regions are present in our brain, that like we have a frontal lobe, temporal lobe, or the parietal lobe, occipital lobe that are responsible to perform different functions in the body. Like temporal lobe is responsible for the memory, hearing, and the occipital lobe is responsible for the vision, or the parietal lobe is involved for the reasoning, intelligence. And another important part, that is cerebellum, that is basically involved in the coordination or in the balancing of the fine muscle control. And also we have a brain stem that is involved in the breathing, blood pressure control, the heart rate or swallowing. And whole this brain, the human brain, is being protected by skull bone. And inside this brain, we have cerebrospinal fluid. So what is gut microbiome? As we all know that whatever the food we intake, that is being digested by the GIT tract or gastrointestinal tract that is present in the human body. So inside your digestive tract, human digestive tract, we have microbes. So we have good bacteria inside our GIT that are refers to as gut microbiota. And it has been reported that to date we have there are more than 50 bacteria phyla or good bacteria that are present in the human gut. And this gut microbiota is very diverse. So the microbial heterogeneity lie along the length of the GIT, and it has been suggested that a very large number of variation exist in the composition of the microbiota in the transverse section of your colon. So basically, we know that large colon is divided into different regions. We have ascending, transverse, or the descending colon. So in the transverse section of the intestine, the large number of variation lie. So now we will going to see that what actually a crosstalk between these two things, the brain or the gut. It is known as bidirectional relationship. So as you can see in this figure, that our brain is connected with our gut via axis that is known as HP axis or hippocampal pituitary adrenal axis, and via autonomic nervous system also. And whatever the signal being sent, being released from your gut in the form of microbiota-derived compound or any inflammatory factor or any metabolite or whatever the gut hormone lie inside your gut. So that signal is being taken by a vagus nerve and sent back to the brain. So that's why it is known as bidirectional axis. So in this slide, I have mentioned some of the important points related to this gut-brain axis that, as I have mentioned, that it is bidirectional, and different products like microbiota-derived products or metabolites or neuroactive substances or any inflammatory factor, they all send back signal to the brain in order to modulate the function of your central nervous system. And what are these microbiota-derived metabolites? These are, for example, short fatty acid chain or tryptophan precursor. As we all know that tryptophan is an amino acid that used as a precursor for many neurotransmitters like serotonin and etc. And different metabolites are also there that exert their effects. So the interaction between the host cell that express whatever the signal being sent to the various tissues, for example, gut, muscles, liver, pancreas, or adipose tissue, or by your immune cells. So in this manner, these two axes are being, or you can say the relationship between these two, your brain or gut, exist in your body. So now we will going to discuss about the second brain of your body, that is known as enteric nervous system. So as you can see in this slide, I have described about the classification of your nervous system. Basically, it is divided into two, your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system is comprised of brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system is comprised of efferent or afferent system. So efferent is further subdivided into autonomic, that is also known as involuntary nervous system, and then the somatic, that is known as voluntary. So if we subdivide this involuntary autonomic nervous system, so we have parasympathetic, sympathetic, or enteric. So basically, enteric nervous system, or your second brain of the body, is included in the peripheral nervous system, under the category of the peripheral nervous system. So this enteric nervous system is composed of interstitial submucosa, interstitial submucosa, and mesenteric plexus. So this lie inside your intestine mainly. So it independently regulate intestinal digestion, absorption. As we all know that mainly in the intestine, the main part of the digestion occur, that is absorption or the secretion, whatever the food we eat being absorbed by the tissues, by taken up by the blood vessels in this region of the GIT. So your entire nervous system is connected with central nervous system, with your brain, through a feedback pathway, as I have mentioned in my previous slide, that is known as a brain-gut axis. And this is a bidirectional axis. So your gut being affected, or this axis being affected by a different state in your body, like emotion, appetite, or the behavioral states. So in addition to the aiding of the movement or in your digestive tract, this enteric nervous system is involved in the regulation of your blood flow, your mucosa secretion, and played an important role in your immunity also, in your immune system also. So we have different gut neurotransmitters that are being secreted by your microbes, your gut microbes. So those neurotransmitters, or those chemicals, are known as neuroactive substances. For example, we have 5-HT, that is also known as serotonin. We have gamma aminobutyric acid, that is known as GABA. And tryptophan metabolites, these all chemicals or the neuroactive substances played an important role in modulating the functioning of your central nervous system. So these molecules can be synthesized or released by your gut microbiome, that is good bacteria reside in your brain. For example, like bacillus can produce dopamine, or the candida can utilize tryptophan that is present in your food and produce the serotonin or the 5-HT. Serotonin that is being secreted by your gut is influencing other tissues of your body. Like in the brown adipose tissues, it is responsible for thermogenesis. In the white adipose tissues, is involved in regulating the lipolysis or adipogenesis. And in the skeletal muscles, it is involved in glucose uptake, or in the liver, it is responsible for glucose uptake or gluconeogenesis. And in the pancreatic cells or beta cells of the pancreas, it is responsible for insulin secretion. So this serotonin or 5-HT, it is also known as happy hormone because it is involved in several physiological processes of your body. It actually protect your gut. So what will be the status of your gut-brain axis if healthy? What will be the physiological status of your body? And if this axis gets abnormal, so what will be the consequences in that condition? So in this slide, I'm going to describe the comparison between the two. So if the status of your gut-brain axis is healthy, so what will be the health consequences? So there will be a normal emotional or the behavioral status is being seen, and the healthier level of your inflammatory cells or your mediators. Because of the presence of your healthy gut microbiota. And if this status got abnormal due to any environmental factor like any stress condition or any disease condition, so it will lead to the alteration in your behavior or the cognition or your emotions that will lead to the altered levels of your inflammatory cells or the mediators, and ultimately altogether it leads to the dysbiosis, interstitial dysbiosis. So if this got imbalanced, so what will be the disorders? So mainly, yeah, there are a lot of disorders that are associated with this imbalance. Here I have mentioned few of them, like mainly irritable bowel movement. So it is basically known as neurological bowel disorders. It affects your digestive system, and the symptoms will be alteration in your bowel movement, and nerves that present in your gut got sensitive, and the signal being sent from your gut to the brain. So there are few behavioral medicines that are being suggested in order to manage this syndrome. There will be some relaxing therapy or the cognitive or behavioral therapies are being recommended to cope up with this syndrome. Then we have some other neurodegenerative disorders like we have schizophrenia or the Parkinson's, Alzheimer disease that are being associated with this gut dysbiosis. We have autism spectrum disorders like depression and depression, anxiety, multiple sclerosis. All these diseases are being suggested. Like studies have suggested the association of all these diseases with this gut dysbiosis, and if we take one example of Parkinson disease, so in the Parkinson disease, there will be a dopaminergic neuronal loss in the brain. So the pathogenesis of this PD is associated with the as it is a chronic neurodegenerative disease. So what will be the consequences that lie under the in the pathophysiological condition of the disease is that it or in the intestine or the interstitial barrier, epithelial barrier that lie inside your intestine got leaky. So the permeability or the interstitial permeability get altered due to the disbalance in gut microbiota. And there will be bowel inflammation, like different inflammatory signals that are being sent from your gut to the brain, and due to your GI dysfunction, and there will be some posture instability is being seen in the PD's patients. And then we have some factors like your lifestyle factor, how these factors affect your gut microbiota composition. So in order to manage this inflammation inside your gut or dysbiosis inflammation, we can use different lifestyle intervention in order to deal or manage these conditions, like your sleep habits or lack of sleep is associated. Studies have shown that it is being associated with gut dysbiosis, a different psychological or your physiological condition like lack of physical activity or unbalanced diet, or references which I have used for making this presentation. And lastly, like your gut health is playing an important role, a vital role for your health.